Right. My name is Sadel Trabowski. I am the futurist and at CarbonBlu, a fleet analytics and optimization company. So imagine for a minute that you are a fleet manager. What that means is that you're in charge of a department of a company with a budget of millions of dollars that operates at a loss consistently. You have no potential for making profit, and so you face enormous pressure to reduce costs, increase efficiency, and do really anything you can to keep your bottom line down. So our mission is to accelerate the adoption and integration of alternative fuels and advanced vehicles into those fleets, to give fleet managers the ability to reduce those costs in a way that they haven't been able to do up until now. So these fleet managers and fleet operators, they spend millions annually on vehicle purchases, maintenance, fuel, and other costs. And they're aware of all these options, all these solutions that have been developed, alternative fuels, advanced vehicles, advanced fleet technology. But they don't really have the ability, they don't have the tools to implement those solutions confidently. They're very risk adverse. Their main directive is to deliver vehicles that operate in a safe and efficient manner to the users. So they don't have a lot of opportunity to innovate and change things. And they need tools that allow them to assess those new technologies and integrate them into their fleets. In the last 2 years, the state of California has invested millions into programs to promote the adoption of these technologies. So the fleet managers, not only are they aware of these wonderful solutions, but they're also aware that there's programs out there that allow them to fund the development and implementation of these technologies, of new alternative fuel vehicles that can offset the high purchase costs of new technology that allows them to operate efficiently and share vehicles with other fleets. But they still face this frustrating fact that they just don't have the tools to implement them. They don't know how to quickly assess the risk and uncertainty involved in putting a new technology into their operation. In a lot of cases, the fleets we work with, they actually end up saving around 20% on their fuel budget, which is generally millions for fleets of between 500 to thousands of vehicles. And they can actually also realize significant savings on maintenance. But they struggle with this problem that they don't know how to implement these technologies. So the solution that we've developed at CarbonBlu is called the Sustainable Fleet app. It's an app that aggregates and validates and analyzes fleet and market data and allows fleet managers to assess these technologies and develop accurate and empirically based projections on how these technologies are going to impact their operation. So the app works by aggregating data from within the fleet and out in the marketplace, and then based on that accurate, validated data, the fleet managers are able to identify vehicles that are due for replacement, ideal technologies to replace those vehicles with, available funding and incentive programs that they can use, and payback periods for that technology. So they know that when they invest in this technology, they'll be able to start to see returns on their investment in a set period of time. And they're also able to see the environmental impacts of that new technology, which helps them in compliance with environmental regulations as well as positive marketing and brand image. So the user then receives a concise report outlining all of those options, funding opportunities, and economic impacts of the new technology. And they can use that to both go to their supervisors, go to their bosses, superiors, and request budget and funding for these projects. Next slide. Our team is composed of myself. I own a marketing firm. I have a background in business development and strategy. Rick Sykes, who's a veteran fleet manager, he's our target market. He's fantastic to have on our team. We run everything by him. And Josh Petak, a successful entrepreneur with over 20 years experience in the vehicle industry. We have an amazing team of advisors that work with us, including the Grant Farm and alternative fuel advocates who are here. And I was remiss and did not put them on the slide, but they're wonderful. If you can just skip one more. So why now? Fleet technology is rapidly advancing. As I mentioned, there's a lot of investment that California and other organizations are putting into developing new technologies for fleet managers and users to be able to improve the efficiency of their operation on the ground. They need the tools to assess these technologies, and fleet management trends also show a transition to a data-rich environment. They're putting more data loggers, more information gathering systems out in the field so they can get a better idea of what's actually happening on the ground. Some of our current customers include the state of California, IKEA, City of Beverly Hills, CalStart, Bakersfield, and Wasco. And our target customers are on-road fleet operators, fleet consultants, and fleet management companies. So the market is pretty large. When you look at it globally, the fleet management market is estimated to grow quite a bit over the next few years. We're really focused right here in California and looking to expand nationally. Our revenue model is made up of user subscriptions, government contracts, and licensing fees. So currently, we are in the process of conducting a restricted beta, and we have a good group of user subscriptions and government contracts. And as we move forwards down the road, we look to license this software as an add-on platform to fleet management companies who are out there providing fleet information gathering systems. You can skip that one too. So as the world continues to struggle with climate change, security issues, revenue prices, or fuel energy prices, we see a huge need for people to be able to accurately assess the impacts of new technologies on their operation and be able to implement these into their organization. We're looking to partner with large fleet management organizations, fleet consultants, and sustainability consultants. We're looking to expand and grow. We're also looking to raise capital and looking for a CFO to help us improve some of our financial strategies. So that's it.
Thank you, Siddharth. You talked a little bit, but how can this community help you?
Introductions to public-private fleets. That's always fantastic. That's kind of where we're at right now, is developing our sort of MVP. So.
Okay, great. So it's now open for questions.
I hope California get about $200 million from Volkswagen's whatever lawsuit. And right now, a couple of different parties discuss how to cover time. Maybe it's a good time for you to stand up and then see if we can cover a piece of like $200 million.
Yeah, we're all about that.
Very fast, though.
Yeah.
Time it's imminent, right?
Yeah. Right now.
Move fast.
Right now,
Yeah.
So the size of some of the budgets at some of the medium-sized companies, I mean, they're probably managing their fleet expense can be what, $20 million? Is that easy?
Yeah.
50 million, 100 million?
And the medium-sized fleets, not so much, but
okay, so
even so for a city like Bakersfield, for example, it's not a huge city, it's pretty large. They have about 900 vehicles, that's about it. And their fuel budget is like $1.5 million. That's just on fuel for a year. So, and that doesn't account for
and keep maintaining
exactly maintenance and turnover and
10 million to 20 million per year.
Yeah.
In this direction. And so I'm kind of imagining that the really big players, UPS, FedEx, their business is so large they probably have a department that kind of looks at that stuff. But maybe the medium-sized corporations are more the ones where they're asking the fleet managers, reduce your expenses, but sorry, we can't give you a whole nother group of people to analyze and do things. You only have this money to keep the fleet going.
Mm-hmm.
So would you agree with that you're not really targeting everybody in the fleet management space, but you're focusing in on a sweet spot?
So that was our initial assumption as well, and that was where we focused initially. And then we talked with Coca-Cola and Walmart and DGS here in Sacramento, and they said, we need help. We don't understand this space very well. And I think a lot of it goes to just managing the risk and uncertainty of investing in these new technologies. But yeah, so that was our initial assumption too, and that was our first follow-on. And
the target is wider than you originally thought, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting. Later in your presentation, you mentioned working with the software, that people can work with the software and stuff. Initially, you started with the app. Mm-hmm. And my thought is a fleet manager who's going to try and persuade his upper management to, it seems like an app and a $20 million budget. I'm just thinking you could position your software with a name that sounds beefier more substantial than app.
Yep.
Because there's so many apps out there that just put a pancake on a rabbit's
Right.
head.
Yeah.
So I would consider, I mean, the app needs to be integrated into it, but I would build the software as a pyramid of a database or something more substantial, and then say the app plugs in from these areas here where people can reference this, that, and the other thing,
Yeah.
contribute, so.
That's good. I got that comment from someone else last night at a meeting, so thank you. That's good to hear it again.
Yeah, maybe I missed it, but how long have you been in the business, and what is your track record? What are your success stories?
So we've been in business, we incorporated the company 5 years ago. We've really been in business doing this part of the company for about 3 years. And so we've partnered successfully with the CEC, with Grant Farm, Alternative Fuel Advocates, and some other groups to help do testing and analytics on various projects that have gone out. And so we have a pretty solid track record when it comes to executing on government contracts. And as we're looking to kind of shift and widen our reach, we're looking more at the public or the private side.
Are you guys, I'm sure you guys are, because I think it's a very complicated concept, but you've simplified it in a way that's easily understandable. I think one of the biggest benefits that you could talk to your potential customers is the environmental impact too that they will also be reducing, and there's also, I'm sure, discounts that they would be able to get if they were able to decrease their carbon footprint to a degree. So are you guys also having that conversation with potential customers?
Sometimes. To be quite honest, California is a cool bubble, but once you get, actually, as soon as you get like past Fresno, just don't mention sustainability anymore. The cost savings really is what people are interested in.
Right.
And the environmental benefits are great, and it's nice to be able to like tag that on as a addendum, but
It's not what they're looking at.
it's really not what they're looking at. Yeah.
Is it not as, sorry, second question, is it not as substantial as a cost saving?
It's not. And at the end of the day, it just doesn't work as a sales.
Right.
Like, it doesn't work when you're approaching them. You can say, afterwards, and they might even appreciate it, after the fact, but when you're just saying, hey, we want you to use this,
Right.
they don't want to hear that.
Right, gotcha, okay.
Well, what's the biggest objection you get from prospective customers then?
Fleet managers are very traditional. They don't want to do anything new, risk adverse. So that's the biggest objection, is they want to know who's done it and has it worked, which is nice that we've got like a little handful of beta users now. So.
You were talking about the fleet management market growing. What is causing it to grow? How would that entire market grow? Just out of curiosity, mostly.
Yeah, I think one of the factors that the report discusses is just an increased need for transportation, just newer markets, emerging markets, developing countries, things like that.
So I have a couple of different questions. Did you mention that you guys are working with the Air Resource Board already?
No, we are not working with them, although we're very familiar with them. We're working with the Energy Commission.
Okay.
And
any particular reason why you're not, or is that a potential client or somebody that you guys can partner with?
They would potentially be someone we could partner with and work with. The Energy Commission just tends to issue more RFPs in this area.
Gotcha.
We're more plugged into that system, especially thanks to our partnership with the Grant Farm. So.
Got it. Another question would be, obviously on a larger scale it makes more sense and you can probably get a little bit more data and be able to present that in a better way, but what about the companies that are subcontracting out transportation jobs? We're looking to find other alternatives to add back to those and retain those subcontractors.
This is a great question. So we just, Thursday I'm going to go down and meet with FedEx Ground. So that's their business model, right? They have a bunch of contractors come in, they just wrap the trucks, and then the contractors each operate 4 or 5 vehicles and depend on those vehicles to perform their service. They're also responsible for all the maintenance and upkeep and the whole thing. And so we're actually working with FedEx Ground to develop a program to help assist their contractors in accessing funds to deploy all fuel vehicles and increase efficiency with their trucking operation.
Nice. I also know that the Air Resource Board, they had, especially with a lot of the older trucks that are on the road, they're, getting these pieces of equipment that they have to retrofit, and it's costing, a lot of small business owners or subcontractors, anywhere between 20 and 40 grand. Some are even just buying new trucks that are already retrofitted with that equipment. So that may be a good avenue to look a little bit further into as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I know a few people over there too. I'll be happy to introduce you to.
Okay, that'd be great.
So, once again, you need how much money and how many jobs do you forecast on creating?
So initially, we'd like to raise about $2 million to, do development, scaling, sales, marketing. We're a really small team, so we anticipate, needing to hire pretty significant technical staff, especially to work on structuring. The way we've built out the data collection systems, and the way that the fleet data and all of the voucher programs and incentive programs work, it's quite a technical lift to get all that information organized into something that the fleet managers can easily access. And so that's one of the places we're looking at. But to be quite honest, we haven't fully baked that strategy out, so I'm just kind of speaking from the cuff right now.
So there's been for years the satellite tracking of the trucks where companies can see kind of how many miles and where they're at in real time and stuff. Are you guys connecting with any of those companies that are kind of doing the physical tracking part? Are you partnering with anybody or trying to work their data into your system?
Yeah, we've actually worked with a couple, Teletrack and Fleetmatics, both of them. And it's a good, it's a good relationship. Lots of fleets can't always afford or don't work with those solutions because they're really costly. So another solution we've developed is we have our own data loggers and emissions testing equipment that we can put onto fleets and take representative data. So take little snapshots essentially and help them calculate out something that's accurate to a point. That helps.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've been brainstorming a business concept that might require a fleet of drones. Are you prepared to help me manage my fleet of drones?
So our main focus is on-road motorized fleets, and then we can do off-road as well. We have not looked at any type of sea-going vessels or flying things.
Yeah, so awesome job. These programs like this are only as good as the people implementing them. So do you have some sort of customer success program to ensure that they are using it properly and that they have a positive experience, therefore can sing your praises in this critical period?
Yes, we do, and we actually often pair some kind of consulting service along with the user's experience so that they can sit down and really make sense of what's going on, because even with something that's pretty simple and easy to use, it's a lot of lifting for
because I mean,
these guys.
like, you install Salesforce and it makes sense as you're going over, looking over my shoulder, and then 2 weeks later, I go get it and I shut down and this is now a piece of crap.
Yep.
So you just want to avoid that. It sounds like you have it covered.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
Yeah.
So is the target customer more like fleet managers at these larger companies and the municipalities, or is it also fleet management companies?
So
Dedicated fleet management companies, are those also target customers like the Wheels or Common?
So those would be our ideal kind of, that's who we hope to license this to, are dedicated fleet management companies. But the kind of path to market right now is to work with fleet managers and purchasing managers directly in these fleets, and to make sure that everything works. No more questions?
Any more questions? All right, well, thank you, Sal.